I think a common question that a lot of us think about, and at least hope deep down is true, is does Jesus really get me? Does he know me? Can I turn to him and feel like I've got somebody that knows exactly what I'm going through? In the scriptures, the term that prophets often use to encapsulate this kind of collective experience of Jesus is infirmities. It was the fact that Jesus experienced our infirmities that allows him to perfectly succor us according to our wants and needs. Alma, in chapter 7, verses 11 through 12, testified that Christ will go forth suffering pains, afflictions, and temptations of every kind, and he will take upon him their infirmities, that his bowels may be filled with mercy, according to the flesh, that he may know, according to the flesh, how to succor his people according to their infirmities. I think it's helpful sometimes to break that word apart and kind of understand what it implies and how our physical experience here in mortality is kind of encapsulated by Jesus' mortal experience. Infirmities has at least three meanings that are relevant to Christ's suffering for us. And the first includes physical weakness, just our experience as being immortal. Second, which is closely related but is a little different, is the lack of strength that we all feel as a result of just kind of physical toil. And then the third aspect of infirmities that's important is our moral weakness. Areas of our character that is overcome as we kind of succumb to temptation. The first aspect of infirmities, or, physical weakness from just being mortal, is attested in the scriptural account of Jesus' life. He inherited his physical weakness or his mortality from his mortal mother, which meant that his body could be injured, it could decline as he got older, or it was suspect to aging, all the other kind of instances from just being a mortal person. I think it's interesting that the scriptures, sometimes we wish that there was more about Jesus' early life, not just his early life, his life before he started his ministry. So much of his life we really know very little about, but there's enough in there that's attested to in multiple accounts in the New Testament and Book of Mormon that tells us that he was born, he was a child, he was a young adult, and he increased in wisdom and stature through his young adulthood. And then after many years, his ministry grew nigh. And then that's when he kind of shows up into the scriptural account. So even though the events are sparse, I just think it's a wonderful testament that he was mortal. He was born on earth and lived and grew and aged just as we do. In addition to his mortality, he also inherited a divine endowment from his father, which made him unique. So he could do things as a mortal that other people couldn't. He never used that endowment for himself. He could have, but he chose not to. He could have chosen not to ever get sleepy. He could have chosen to travel in a very kind of expedited way, but he didn't. He wanted to know what it was like to be tired. He wanted to know what it felt like when you're cranky from being tired. He wanted to know what it felt like to be hot, to be just exposed to the elements, to be hungry, all of those things he wanted to do. The only moment that we see Jesus using his divine endowment for himself specifically is his last moment on the cross, after I think it's made known to him that it's his Father's will that he die then. Did he use his divine endowment to die? Which is a wonderful example of how he submitted his own will to the will of his Heavenly Father.